track of who watched it and who does not. There's no tracking mechanism whatsoever. So it's really just there online. If you find that you want to watch it again, any day throughout the semester, just go back and watch it.
Where will we find that? Where will we find that?
It's at youtube.com/someprofs. I will actually show you how to get there. Were you here last week? Okay. So I think I wrote it out on the whiteboard last week. And where's the flash drive? Oh, okay. Okay. So if you want to use a flash drive approach, I can, throughout today's lecture, I can just go ahead and, program these flash drives. If you have a laptop computer, I can see many of you bring along a laptop computer. If that works best for you, that's good too. So it's entirely up to you to decide, how you want to take this class. I do have to warn you, and I have to ask you, are you sure that all the content of this drive is not needed anymore?
Yeah, just not it.
Okay. Because I want to double check before I do irreversible things to the drives. Okay, all right. Okay, several things. Oh, projector is not on. No wonder you guys are looking at me and not looking at the screen, because there's nothing on the screen. And this is not a gigantic psychic paper. If you watch Doctor Who, does anyone watch Doctor Who? No. Okay. Then you know what is a psychic paper, right? So if this is a gigantic psychic paper, I can just project my thoughts onto the psychic paper. Then I don't need an actual projector anymore. All right. So, oh, that's really quick. Let me make sure that everything is set up the way it's supposed to. I don't like the way they set up the projector or the projection screen, because the lower third of the screen is not usable. Because people in the back cannot see the lower third, so I have to keep all the stuff, on the upper third only. Which is an issue, because it's not certainly not convenient. All right, first thing first, the video capture of this class is over at YouTube. You don't need to sign in or anything. You just go to youtube.com and then /someprofs. It will automatically bring you to this particular channel. And once you're here, the best way to navigate and find the video recording of this class and also other classes is just click on the videos tab. Okay, when you click on the videos tab, so I'm just going to expand this a little bit so we can see a little better. So you can see that yesterday on the 26th, I taught two classes. I taught cisp 440 and cisp 310. Okay, so it's listed in a reversed chronological order, which means the most recent one is listed first. Okay, which is usually the best, because you very seldom do people have to go back like 1 or 2 weeks to dig up something. But if you need to dig up something that's that has scrolled off the list, just scroll all the way to the end here and just say load more. Okay, I think there are more than 1,000 video clips, because over 3 or 4 years of time, I have had that many recordings. Okay, and you can even check out the recordings from the last time this class was offered, because I was recording already at that time. Okay, so lots of stuff. If you want to use this particular resource, lots of stuff that you can actually check out. And I'm going to sign in first, and then we'll go ahead with this class. And oh, okay, it's already in here, and this is a preview of a particular question, but it's not relevant for what we're doing today. So I'm just going to go to Moodle again, but go to this particular class, 362, and I added one link this morning. I added this link, which is tax life distribution. This is the first topic, how to get started. If you click on this link, I'll just right-click on it so I can show you, in a new tab. It brings you to my folder on the Google Drive. You don't have to sign in at all to make use of this folder. It is shared with public. It's shared with anyone with a link. So you just need to click on that. And these are all live distributions. You don't have to use it, especially if you decide to use a laptop computer for this class. There's no need to do this. But if you want to use my USB live media, you can go to the most recent distribution, and there we have the files that you will need to make use of it. So for today, I'm going to just download this first. Okay. It will take a while because it is a little bit big. It's 3.8 gigabytes. So I'm just going to click, save, and just let it do its thing. Until it's done, then I'll go ahead and program the USB device. Are there any questions before we move forward? Yep.
I was confused about reading assignments, how far to go. I went through the reading assignments up through the perfect application. Should I have gone further to prepare for today's class?
If you have time to go forward, go ahead. But if you just kind of catch up with that part, that's good too. So at the end of each class, I will try to remember to tell you guys, how much to read. Basically right now you can spend more time to think about what app you want to write for this, as a project for this class.
Okay.
Because I want the project to basically be the glue for, making use of the concepts and techniques that we'll be learning in this class. But I wanted to I also want to make it fun for you guys. I don't want to give you a particular project that you have no interest in doing. I want you guys to pick out something that you think, oh, I want to write, I have been wanting to write an app like this. And sometimes it may not be 100%, because there are limitations to what App Inventor can do. And also for people who have not done programming for a while, there are other limitations as well. But I want you guys to get started with that. I want you to think of something that you want to do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's a good question. Any other questions before we go forward? No questions? It's all good? All right. Okay. So this is an introduction to mobile devices. This entire topic here. I talk about why mobile devices are kind of interesting. I don't have to read my own notes. That's really boring to me because I wrote it, and if I have to read my own stuff, that's really, really boring. It's boring enough to read somebody else's writing, but my own, come on, give me a break. Okay, so the thing about mobile devices, I'm pretty sure most of you have one. Okay, already you have one. It's a phone, it's a tablet. I forgot to wear my watch today, but it's a mobile watch. It's a Android Wear, okay, which is also a mobile device. Okay, I have not learned how to program for phones. For watches just yet. Okay, but I'm assuming the idea is very similar to programming an Android device or a larger device. Okay. Okay, so the first part is I just want to give you guys an idea of the contrast between this versus this. Okay, I'm hoping that those of you in the back can see what I'm pointing at. It's the desktop computer. Okay, you have one that is right under the table to your either left or the right hand side. Okay, so I just want to give you a comparison between this and this. Okay. If I ask you to point to a computer out of these two, which one are you going to point to? This guy, right? That's conventionally known as a computer. And we call this our cell phone, smartphone, mobile device, that sort of thing, right? But the truth is, this is a computer just as much as this is a computer. Okay? It is pretending to be a phone. That's what it's pretending. Okay, but it really is a computer. It is a computer that is pretending to be a phone. But on top of being a computer, what else can we do on a mobile device that is not nearly possible with a desktop computer, or even a laptop computer, or even a little tablet computer? What is on this thing? There's a camera. There are two cameras, right? Most cell phones now have a forward-facing and a rear-facing camera. So there are two. What else is on this? By default, you don't have to install anything. It has to be on the phone. Wi-Fi, 4G, okay? So you can hook up to, sorry?
OS.
Well, it's, yeah, an OS. What else? What? A phone? Sorry? Go ahead. Bluetooth. Okay.
GPS.
So it's Bluetooth, GPS. What else? What else? We're missing something important. It's a phone. Apps. Okay. Well, it's called apps, but we're missing some hardware device that has to be there on the phone. A microphone, right, to pick up your voice. And then what else? Speaker, because when you pick up a phone or when you pick up a call, you need to have a speaker so that you can talk to the other person, right? On this computer, there's nothing. I have to bring my own USB microphone just so that I can record my lectures. There's no camera attached, okay? Yes, I can, install a webcam, through USB and stuff like that, but none is included. What else is on this one that makes it a phone and not a desktop computer? This is important. We just forget these things because they are so well done that it is completely out of the way and we are no longer aware of these things. The battery. The battery, okay? These things now last long enough in the day that we don't really have to worry about it for the rest of the day. We just charge it once, okay? It's good for the most part of the day. I know some of you are more heavier, mobile device users and you have to recharge like halfway through the day or charge it in the car. But nonetheless, it's not a big deal. You don't have to change your battery. When was the last time you have to open up the case and change battery on your phone? Never, okay? What else can I do with this thing other than using it as a phone, as a browser, and stuff like that? What else can I use it for?
Anything?
That is actually very non-intrusive. It can do it without my knowledge throughout the entire day. Sorry?
Adult websites.
Adult websites. Well,
Adult entertainment.
adult entertainment. Screen is too small. Okay. I can use it as an exercise tracker to keep track of how many steps I have taken in a day.
That's the same thing.
Well, maybe to some people, but not me. Okay, so you can use it as an exercise tracker because it has an accelerometer to keep track of your motion. Okay, so throughout the day, it can keep track of how far you have gone because of the GPS, but it can also track how many steps you have taken. And it's non-intrusive. Can I do that with a desktop computer? Well, just carrying the desktop computer the whole day is enough exercise for sure. I don't need to measure anything. Okay, it's just taking it to the parking lot and back. I think I got enough exercise for the day. Okay, so anything else? Anything that makes a mobile device different from a conventional computer? Yep. Right, there are tracking software. In fact, I have this. Let me see, where is my tracker thingy? I have this tile. Does anyone know what is a tile? No, nobody knows. Oh man. Okay, it's a tracker. Okay, it is not a really novel idea because that concept has been around for a while. But if you go to the Tile app, which has its own website, yeah, this is really cool. Okay, and I'll tell you why this is cool. And this is another thing that mobile devices now can do these days that earlier cell phones or smartphones usually do not do. Okay, so you look at you guys can watch this on your own, but I can describe what it is. Okay, the Tile, which is a small, tiny little device like this, you can easily attach it to a keychain. It's not very big. It can be made smaller, I suppose. If it's smaller, it's even better. It cannot be opened up for one thing. Okay, it's battery operated, but you cannot change the battery yourself. When it's done, you just toss it away. You have to toss it away in the e-waste bin because it does have batteries inside and whatnot. And then what you do is you email the website, the Tile website, and they'll send you a new one. Okay, so in a way, it's kind of like disposable, but I think what they do is they make it so that it uses so little material that it's not even worth it to open it up and change the battery. I do have a Dremel at home, so when this is all, when the battery is gone, I intend to open it up to find out, what type of battery it has. The thing about making devices inexpensive is everything counts. If you are making a tile like about this thick, thin, I should say, it's about this thin and this light, you want to reduce the number of components as much as possible. If you make this device to have replaceable batteries as opposed to fixed, what do you think you have to include that otherwise you do not have to think about? Sure. Contact points for the battery. Okay, it has to be spring-loaded. It is something extra. On the other hand, if the battery is soldered onto the PCB, onto the case itself, you just saved quite a bit of material. You save the cost, you save thickness, weight, and so on and so forth. So if the battery can last, let's say, a year or two, hey, it's okay. Because, when you change the battery, you're exposing the consumer to even more hazardous material than just disposing this thing into the hazardous or e-waste bin. Okay, getting back to what it does. So let's say I misplaced my phone, somewhere, behind the projector. So what I will do is I will press the E of the tile. Just press it like. So it will ring the phone. So I go pick up the phone and turn it off. Automatically. But it works the other way as well. I misplaced my key. Then I can go to the Tile app. So let's see. This is one thing that I do not like about mobile devices is, when you get older, it gets harder and harder to focus on closer things, right? I can still shoot my rifle fairly well, It's not my eyesight that is gone, it is the ability to change my focus that is gone, And even with a bifocal, I still have to, kind of space it out like this, So I go to the Tile app, So remember, I have lost my key, with the Tile dongle on it. So I go to the Tile app, Tile app right there, and it will list all the tiles that are associated with me. So you can have multiple tile devices if you need to. So I'm looking at mine and go like, okay, first of all, I can check it and say, okay, where is the last known location of that tile? Because this app, keeps track, It will basically say, okay, the last time I was able to communicate with that tile is at this location. So that's the first thing you can do. Second thing is I can just press the button here and it clicks and click find. Tile connected, continue, click find. So I just have to follow the noise and locate it. And once I find it, I can click done on the phone to turn off the ringing. So, and you would say that, oh, but we have had these things for a long time. I have a standalone device and standalone key fobs that can do exactly the same thing. And that one is even better because the screen of the standalone device looks like a radar. You can just kind of point it in different directions and it will show you the strength of whatever thing you're looking for. But this can do one thing that other one cannot do. This is cloud-based. So if you watch the video, there's one little example that shows you why being cloud-based is so helpful. So let's say you attach, I don't know how you would do it, but I would say under the seat, So let's say you attach one of these tiles under the seat of a bicycle. We are talking about, let's say, a $500-600 bicycle, semi-expensive. It's not expensive compared to what Olympic athletes, own, because those things are like $10,000-$20,000 each. But $600 is quite expensive, for me at least. So I would attach this tile under the bicycle seat, in case someone steals my bicycle. And let's say one day it's actually lost. I go back to the stand and the bicycle is gone. I'm not going to run around town with my cell phone trying to locate my bicycle. There's a feature with the Tile app that says lost. Okay, so you can go to a particular fob and declare it lost. Now this is where crowdsourcing works, because once you declare a tile lost, the Tile app will inform Mothership and say that, oh, this particular device is now lost. Okay, somebody owned this thing and it can no longer be found. And what it will do is it will inform every single mobile device that has Tile installed, the Tile app installed, and say, please help look for that particular Tile device. So now we have hundreds, thousands of people with their cell phones with the Tile app installed, helping me to locate my bicycle. Are you guys kind of getting the idea? This is why it is different, because it hooks up to the cloud. It hooks up to a mothership. And mothership can inform all cell phones with that app installed to look for my lost item. If one of them can make a connection, it will inform mothership and say, I'm at this location and I just found a lost tile. Mothership will then inform me and say that, hey, your lost tile is now found at this location. Call the cops, go to that location, and hopefully I find my bike and not just the tile or just the bike seat, right? But that is how it is changing something as simple as a locator. Locator by itself is nothing new, okay? Has been around for a long time, okay? But what the mobile device and the network connection changes is we can now hook up to the cloud, okay? Now the other devices that help me locate my lost tile, they do not know that which tile is lost or who owned that tile, okay? It's just the app itself knowing that it has to look out for something, okay? It's the mothership that is aware of which tile belongs to which user and who should be informed when it is found. Okay? So I just want to share with you with this one because it is revolutionary. Okay? This is not just some minor improvement of range and stuff like that. This is making use of other mobile devices with the app installed, okay, which previously is not possible. And because every single device has a GPS on it, that is why it is possible to find not only my bike, but also find out where it is without any type of user intervention. Yes?
So the question is that you can put the same type of tile on your dog or your cat.
You can potentially put it on your dog, your cat. Each one can have a different tile. Okay? Yeah?
Your cat.
Sorry?
I should have never know. In case you ever lose a cat. Because like a lot of people put signs up around the house or like
Yeah.
the neighborhood saying, hey, I lost my cat.
Yep.
Put a tile on it.
You can put a tile on your cat. You can put a tile on your, whatever pet animal you have. Well, as long as it's big enough to carry a tile around, right? So it won't work with mice and smaller animals. So are there any questions about this? Because I want to share with you what you can do with your mobile devices. Okay, with all the extra stuff, you can do all of this, with a mobile device. We are forgetting one thing about a mobile device: the touch screen. Okay, the touch screen is one of the best things on a mobile device because it makes it possible so that you can look at a button, you can see a button on the screen and just press it. You don't need a mouse, you don't need a keyboard, you don't need a trackball or anything like that. You just press it on the screen. Now, I am not a big fan of Windows 8. I'm not a big fan of those touch screen laptop computers because it simply does not make any sense. Just imagine right in front of you with your monitor, everything that you have to do, you have to touch the screen. You have to click on the screen itself. Okay? The first time you do it, for the first maybe 30 seconds, it's fun, it's cool. Okay? You try to do it for an entire class, it's tiring because you have to lift your arm to do all that stuff. It doesn't make sense at all. Now, if you're working with a tablet that is resting on the surface of your desk, it's okay. Okay, it's not a big deal. At the end of the lesson, you still end up with a lot of finger smear and whatnot. Okay, so from a certain perspective, it still doesn't make a lot of sense. Because with a larger surface, okay, with a larger device on the desk, which way do you have to tilt your head? Forward and down, right? Is it a healthy posture? Nope, not healthy at all, okay? But with a mobile device, small mobile device like this, it's different, right? Because you can easily hold it, okay? And it doesn't take a long time. This is not really designed for prolonged, user interaction. It's really just for checking your messages, look up something, okay? And it is relatively light, okay? I know your phones are getting bigger screens, heavier, and stuff like that. It is still not nearly as heavy as a tablet, okay? All right. So with all of this out of the way, okay, because I just want to get you guys, remind you what a mobile device is. Now we can go into, that's basically what this link is talking about. Why mobile devices are special. Okay. And here we have, the cloud. Okay. Does anyone know how we define the cloud in computer terms? What is the cloud? How would you describe the cloud in computer terms?
Basically, a network of storage
It's
scattered. Yeah.
sorry?
Just a bunch of servers put together.
A bunch of services, put together, and it is online, right? First of all, it is online. It is not on your phone, okay? And your phone is nothing more than just a quote-unquote terminal for those apps to run, okay? That's kind of the general idea of what the cloud is about. Is most of the logic and data storage is online, not on your personal device, okay? Now that is a big change of how we used to do things with laptop computers. I would just say about 5-10 years ago, okay? You have a laptop computer. What do you have to do? You have to install a lot of different applications on it. You have to install Microsoft Office if that's what you want to do. You have to install Adobe products if that's what you want to do. Everything that you want to do on a laptop computer, you have to install an application, a program, just to do it. Is that what you experienced in 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Okay. You want Photoshop, you install Photoshop. Okay. If you want to process your pictures, okay, your photographs, you have to bring all those photographs onto your laptop computer, and then you can do the processing. After you're done processing, it is saved, guess what, on the laptop device, right? So let's say one day when you're about to go to school or go to work, you accidentally drop your computer, okay? Not that the drop destroyed the computer, but you did not realize that you dropped your computer. Then you back up your car, and it rolled over your laptop computer. What would happen? Your laptop computer is broken, along with all the data, all the applications, everything, right? So you can try to salvage your hard drive, but with that much force, on your laptop, on the hard drive, it might physically bend it to a point where you can no longer run your hard drive. You cannot extract your hard drive and plug it onto another computer and retrieve your content. So you have just lost a lot of stuff. What about today? How many people keep all your pictures on your mobile device? Okay, some people do, okay? But if you have, like an Android device, you can use, Photo. I think, that's the name of the app. It's a Google app. And it can give you an option of uploading all your pictures onto the Google storage, onto Google Drive. Then you can just delete the pictures on the device itself. If you don't need it right away, you can just delete it. Okay? If you want to edit your picture, you can go to the website. You can go to Picasa. Okay? You can do all the online, editing and whatnot. So nothing is really stored on the device. Okay? For the most part, we don't have to store a lot of stuff on the device. Where is my stuff? Where are my documents? Where are my spreadsheets? Where are my pictures? They're in the cloud. Okay? That's why I want to talk about the cloud, because this is increasingly becoming just the terminal. Okay? If you destroy your mobile device, get another one, sign in with your credentials, and everything is now back. Okay, yes, I will still be losing money because of the hardware, but I won't be losing my content. I won't be losing my information and stuff like that. Okay, has anyone done taxes this year? Or at least started to? Or at least thought about doing it? Okay, we thought about doing it, yes, but we're still a long way from April, so we can procrastinate. Okay, TurboTax. Okay, traditionally you go to Costco, you go buy a CD, you install TurboTax, and then you do everything. At the end, you file your e-tax, or you just print out a whole bunch of stuff just to annoy the IRS, right? What do you do these days? You can run TurboTax online. You don't have to save anything. Okay? Another example, how many people have bank statements and credit card bills and stuff like that? I have more bills than I have statements, right? How many people still get it by physical mail? Okay? Some of those you still get it by physical mail. And when was the last time the postman or post person misdelivered your mail? Last week? Last month? Okay? So your statement can go to your neighbor or someone who is somewhere else in Sacramento. Okay? So if you get your statements by e-statement, okay, online, is it any less secure? That's the question. Because people used to think and go like, if I get my statements by email and stuff like that, it is less secure. Is that really the case? What do you think?
It's hard for someone to actually use a name and password that is open to your mailbox.
Okay, exactly. Okay, and there's no chance that it can be misdelivered, because when you get your statements by email, they're not sending the PDF by email. They're just sending you a link to remind you and say, hey, your statement is now ready. Click on this link to sign in to check your statement, right? So you still have to sign in to the bank website in order to get to your statements. And is that secure? What if it is not secure? Who's going to be responsible? The bank, right? If your bank statement gets delivered to your neighbor, who's responsible? The postman. So which one do you think is more reliable? Who has more at stake? The bank has more at stake. Okay? Now you can say, but somebody can hack my bank account from overseas and whatnot. I mean, it's not like they have to be my neighbors, right? How many times can you fail to log in before your online account gets locked up? 3 times, 5 times at the most, right? And how many times do you have your mail misdelivered before you tell the post office to do something about it? Okay, so I think that is cloud is actually not any less secure. It's just how we use it. Okay, and besides, your statement has been online forever. Okay, even if you do not elect to get your statements online, it is still on the server of the bank, right? It has been there all along. So if someone is to break into the bank server, that person would have access to all your statements, all your information anyway. Whether you get your statements online or by mail has nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing to do with it. So the only thing you have to do is to make sure that your password is relatively secure, okay? And if there's an option, okay, and I think increasingly there's an option, you can go for 2-factor authentication, which means, in addition to your password, there's one more way to authenticate who you are. Can someone tell me one way that people are starting to use these days as a 2-way authentication?
There's a code that you have to be able to repeat that code and be able to type it in.
It's texted to you by your phone, right?
Right.
Yep, exactly. So someone who wants to get into your account, not only do they need to know your username and your password, but they also need your mobile device. Okay, and this makes it so much more secure because a hacker overseas is not going to have your cell phone. Okay, so they won't be able to see the actual code that you have to enter in order to get into your bank account. Okay. All right. So I just want to mention all of these things because you might want to integrate some of these ideas into your app. Okay, whatever app you're trying to write, keep these things in mind. All right. So here's your homework assignment, which is called Perfect Start. It is just going to the instruction on the App Inventor website, just follow it step by step, and get done with it. Okay, some people were done with this last week. Okay, so it's not really something that's difficult. So I just want you guys to do this part. The homework assignment is due today, so I'm hoping that most of you have it done already, sort of. Okay, so I'll check and take a look and see how many people have it done. I use a golf assistant as an example, but since I really don't golf, that may not be a good example because I don't really do it. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example just to give you an idea of what kind of app you can write. Okay, it doesn't have to be something that's really boring. Okay, oh, this is an app and this is what people usually do. It can fit your niche. Okay, I shoot field target matches. Okay, I shoot air guns in specific matches. And they have a particular way to score. Okay, if you hit a target and it falls over, it's 1 point. If it doesn't fall over, it's 0 points. And then there are 2 targets per lane, and you have 2 attempts per target. So you kind of have to add up all the points, find out, and you might want to note, some target doesn't seem to fall over, even though you hit it, correctly. Okay. So to me, it makes sense to make an app for that, to keep track of all of that stuff, because now these days, it's all on paper, which is inconvenient. So I want to write an app to do that. Okay? So whatever you do, your hobby, okay, it can be fishing, it can be fixing cars, it can be stamp collection. Okay, I don't know what you want to do with your app, but you can turn that into your project for this class. Okay, so I want you to start thinking about your project as early as possible, like now, okay, so that you have an idea of what you want to do. Because I want your project to be fun, that you will actually like to spend energy to do it. Okay, it's not a chore. It's not because tag gave me homework assignment and we have to do it. Okay, it's something that you want to do in the first place. So are there any questions about that? Are there any questions about, okay, I have this idea, but I'm not really sure whether it can be turned into a project or not? You can ask that question anytime in any class. Go ahead.
Does it have to be brand new? I mean, I have an idea, but it looks like it's been done already.
It doesn't have to be brand new. Okay, it's just, that you can turn it into your project, and it is something that you would like to do. Okay, doesn't have to be brand new. Okay, I had people who do guitar tuning, okay, from the previous class. So it would play a tone. They have to pre-record like an A, at 440 hertz, and the app doesn't do much. It's just, okay, it can press a different key to play a different tone. Okay, so you can tune a guitar. You can also record the guitar. Okay, we can record. You play a particular string on the guitar, it records it. Then you can compare. Okay, this is what it's supposed to sound like. This is what the guitar is actually playing. Okay, you can date it so that you can see how your guitar is getting out of tune over time, or something along that line. So there are certain things that we can actually do that is kind of fun and can be really kind of useful. All right. So before you actually start writing your app, okay, I'm going to spend even more time to talk about why you should not get into programming right away. I want you to think about it. I don't want you to actually start to code anything just yet. Okay, so let me explain why you shouldn't do that. Okay, lots of text. I know we don't like to read all this text. So what I'll do is I'm going to give you some imagery, and so that you guys can kind of think about that. I have some on my phone, but some of these pictures are even better than those on my phone. View image. go. Okay, so to me, it doesn't show the entire thing, but people in the back can have an idea what it is. Okay, so let's say you have somebody gave you a property along Highway 1. It's really scenic, and I'm not even going to talk about why you're going to get this property, but you're getting it, and you're going to build a house. Okay, you're going to build a structure that will be your home. Okay. So let's say we all get rich by writing apps, okay? So you can all work remotely, so it's perfect for this, right? What are you going to do? You're going to build a house. You have the property. What is the first thing you're going to do? Home Depot, right? I'm going to go to Home Depot, buy myself a whole bunch of 2x4s, concretes and stuff like that, nails and whatnot, and I'm going to build my own house. No, that's not what most of us are going to do. If I tell you that you have an unlimited budget to have somebody else to help you do all of this stuff here, why would you want to go build your own house? What do you do first?
Hire an architect.
Hire an architect. Okay, what does an architect do?
Make up the design plan to get approved by a permit.
Say that again?
Once you make up the design plan of what you want.
Okay, the architect comes up with a design. Okay, but does an architect come up with a design for himself or herself, or does based on what you want? Okay, very good. Okay, so this is the key. Okay, an architect, in terms of building a house, will ask you about your criteria. Okay. Some people have a large property, may not want a big house. Maybe you just want a cozy, small, cottage, and and not really have a big house because you do not plan to entertain a lot of people. Other people may want, I want 6 rooms, okay, because I constantly want to entertain people. I want a huge kitchen because I need to cook up a lot of stuff and whatnot. So depending on what you want to do with your property, you will tell the architect and say that I want just to be a quiet place. I don't plan to entertain people. I just want this to be a house that I can live, and I want something that's really simple. Or you can say I want something that's lavish, okay? I want bling and stuff like that. Okay? The architect will help you design your house. What is the next phase? So the architect is done, show you the conceptual pictures, even a simulation of what it looks like from the inside, because now with technology we can do that. And then what do you do?
Then you make plans on paper.
Sorry?
Then you make the plans on paper and submit it to the county.
No, the architect cannot do that. You cannot do that either. There's another group of people that does that job. Those are called engineers. Engineers, okay? So the architect comes up with a design, okay, which is like, okay, I like the look of this. I like how you make huge windows facing west because then you can see the ocean, okay? But the span of the glass may be too much. Maybe there's no material that can do that, okay? That can do a single pane, okay? So the engineer is the person who comes in and do all the calculations. Based on the design of the architect, the engineer will compute all the things like, oh, you will need at least this much material over here. Okay, so your window cannot be quite as big, or you will need like support beams in between or stuff like that. The engineer will go through all the calculations. The engineer will go to the site, go to your property, and check out the soil, okay, check out the cliff, check out everything else, just to make sure that structurally it is stable enough to build whatever you want to build on top of that. Okay? And then the engineer will at one point come up with a blueprint with all the specified material, with all the calculations, and then we'll submit that to the county, okay, or whatever government agency is responsible to double check all that stuff, right? So once everything is approved, then what do you do? Then it's time to get the contractors, okay? People who actually do the construction, okay? So why can't we skip the architect and the engineers and go straight to the contractors? Just give him, just give the contractors a picture of the house on a napkin that you drew, in a bar after you were drunk.
It may not work.
It may not work, and the contractors will tell you, Nothing, right? If this is how you want to build it, they will build it that way. If you don't specify something, the contractor will say, well, I guess I'll decide for you. Okay, if you don't specify any outlets in your kitchen, the contractor may give you a lot of outlets or may not give you any outlet. Okay, but the architect and the engineers will tell you, to code. Okay, this is the county code. You have to have these outlets. You cannot have outlets, here, here, or here. Okay, and so on. Is that making any sense? That is why we don't want to start writing our apps or your project right away, because we kind of have to plan this out a little bit so that you know ahead of time what your app is supposed to do, okay, in a much more complete way than just a vague idea. Okay. All right. So with that stuff discussed, the first thing we do is what we call a use case diagram. And I wrote this slide here. This is fairly recent. I just wrote it before the semester. You have to focus more on initially. Okay, you have to focus more on why would someone want to install this app, as opposed to what features is going to be included in the app. Okay, when you take any class, when you study anything, there are 3 questions that you should always be asking. The most basic question is how. Okay, how do we get this done? Tell me all the steps to get something done. Okay, that's the how. The next question is the what. Oh, what did I just do? Okay, I just follow all the steps. But what did I just do? What did I create? And then the most important question is the one that most people forget to ask, what most instructors forget to tell the students, is why are you doing this? Okay? When you write an app, when you have a project, you have to keep track of the why all the time. Okay? Because if you don't keep track of the why, then you end up with what we call feature creep. What is feature creep? Does anyone know the term feature creep? What is it? Yep.
Well, it's like you're going to be updating your bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Now you did the bathroom. Now the hall looks kind of dingy because the bathroom looks so good. Maybe you could just add another thing in the hallway, and then it just adds one more thing, one more thing, one more thing. But
nothing was actually in a master plan. Okay, these things are all happening because one kind of triggered the other one, but it was not all planned out. So it can get out of hand, because once you're done with the hallway, you can find out that, oh, the other rooms also need to be renovated. But because of the way you did the hallway, certain things can no longer be done because it was not planned out, right? Okay, that's one way to describe feature creep. And for those people who think that I came up with the term feature creep, just look it up online. Just look up feature creep, and you will find that feature creep is a phrase that is common. Okay, you can find it in Wikipedia, and it will describe what it is. Okay, feature creep is creeping featureism or featureitis is the ongoing expansion or addition of new features in a product, such as computer software. And what are we going to do in this class? What is an app? It's software. Okay. Extra features go beyond the basic function of the product, and so can result in software bloat and overcomplication rather than simple design. Okay, it's kind of like looking at the DeLorean in Back to the Future, and you just add all kinds of stuff. The kitchen sink, bathtub, jacuzzi, and so on. Okay, just because you have the energy to do it doesn't mean that it is a good feature to add. But what if I'm stuck in the past and there are no bathrooms? I need to bring my own bathroom with a DeLorean. Feature creep, okay? Because there's a simple answer or simple solution to that. Bring a shovel. Okay? A shovel can be useful for many other things too, so it's a really good feature to add. Okay? All right, so we don't want to end up with feature creep, because the number one issue with feature creep is you will never be able to release the software. Okay? Because with every single thing that you add to it, it will result in what? More things to test, more things to break. So your software will forever stay in development stage and never be able to get into the release stage. If you're doing this commercially, why is that going to be a problem when no one else has feature creep? Because your competitors will be able to release their software first, then you lose market share. And how are you going to pay your employees as a development firm when your software is never released and never make a single dollar out of it? You cannot. Does it make sense? Okay. So if you are going to start up a company actually developing applications, that is a very important thing to keep in mind. Okay, because you don't want to get into this so that you cannot pay your employees. Okay. The most important point is to keep track of the core value of your application, timeline, get it released. Okay, test it, get it released. It may not have all the features that you want, but as long as you publish your software, advertise your software as it is, okay, people won't be disappointed because they know what they're getting, and if what you offer works well, it is still good. Okay, so keep an eye out for feature creep because it is something that can destroy a software company. Okay. All right. So that's basically what this slide is about. It's really just to say keep an eye on why people want to download and install your app to begin with, as opposed to what features are included. Is everybody clear on the distinction between the why versus the what? So can someone give me an example of a why for a mobile app? Well, since we just talked about it, why not? Let's talk about the tile thingy, right? So with a tile app, okay, with this thing here and the associated app, why do I want it? What is the reason? Yep.
It solves a problem.
It solves a problem. And what problem would that be?
The chance that you would lose something and you couldn't find it.
Yep, exactly. Okay, it's just that. Okay, I can misplace my phone, I can misplace my keys, and I just need a way to find my stuff. Okay, that's the problem that I'm trying to solve, and that's the reason why I'm getting this. Okay, that's the reason. What are the features?
It communicates two-way between an item in itself and the item and back and forth.
Yep. So what would be a possible feature creep for something like this? Something that's kind of related to this, but not exactly quite. It should not be in the app, but someone may eventually work it into the app because, hey, that seems to be related. Seems to be a good idea. Can tell me one possible feature creep?
Customizing the sound that it plays.
Okay, it can be a useful feature because that way you can kind of tell. You can basically just activate all of the devices, and by the sound of it, you can tell which one is which one. Okay, so it's sort of a useful feature, but once again, it's not core, right? It's not core to why people want this. I can give you another one. Okay, with each tile, when you register it, you can basically say what it is. Okay, fine. A small description is okay because you still want to differentiate and say, okay, am I looking for my car key, or am I looking for my home key or my office keys? Okay, so it makes sense that you can do a little one-liner to label your tile. What if I expand it so that you can include a link to Amazon, so in case you really cannot find it, you know exactly where to go to shop and replace it, and buy something to replace it. That is a feature creep. Okay? Because somebody can think of that and go like, oh, that's kind of cool, because if this item is declared lost and cannot be found within a reasonable amount of time, you just click this button here, and it will automatically order that from Amazon, and you can have that item replaced in 2 days. I mean, isn't that really a nice feature? It's a creep. Because once you hook up to Amazon, the next thing is someone is going to say, I want this to hook up to Costco online. Okay? I want this to hook up to eBay. Oh, but once you get to eBay, it has plenty of opportunities or even more creep. Because what do people do on eBay? They snipe. Okay, you guys obviously have not been using eBay for a while. What is eBay sniping?
Wait till the last minute to put in a bid.
Wait for the last minute to put in a bid, but you don't do it yourself, do you?
No.
So you set up an app, you set up a cloud service of some kind, right? And you say, okay, these 2 or 20 items on eBay is basically the same thing. They're all being bid on, okay? So what you do is you program the whole thing and say, okay, I'm willing to pay this much money for this one, that much money for that one. They're all considered, equivalent, otherwise, okay? So for each one, you will have your program, your script, some kind of cloud service to bid for in your part at the very last second. Okay, so you can program it and go like, okay, 5 seconds before the bid is over, place the bid. Okay, so this is what people do to try to get a better deal. Okay, that is a feature creep because I just want to find it. Okay, is that making any sense? And then someone's going to say, oh, on top of eBay, I want this to hook up to Craigslist. Because if I cannot find it, I want to automatically place a post on Craigslist to buy something, not only just to replace it, but if the thief is around your area, you may find your item on sale on Craigslist. So I want to watch out for that sort of thing. I want this app to do it too. That is a feature creep. Okay, are you guys getting an idea of how easy it is to creep? Okay, so make sure that you don't, because it can ruin a program, and basically it will never be able to be released. Okay, so after feature creep, we'll get into omelet. Okay, UMLET. Okay, it's pronounced omelet, kind of like omelet. Okay. And it is all about drawing pictures. Okay, it's all about drawing what we call UML diagrams. UML stands for Unified Modeling Language. How many people have heard of that term? Okay, some of you have. What do you use it for? UML. What is modeling? What do we use UML for? How does it relate to stuff that we have just talked about?
Specifying the parameters of what the application is supposed to do to not go beyond that with the feature.
Exactly. If you don't want to call it a modeling language, you can call it a specification language. It helps to specify what we call an information system. And people think about an information system, go like, oh, it's that stuff that runs in a server rack, in a server room somewhere. Okay. Well, that's not necessarily the case. I mean, this is an information system. It's just a small one, but it is still an information system. You're still running applications on this thing that is, considered, processing information and stuff like that. So UML, or Unified Modeling Language, still applies when you're writing apps. Okay, it's just a way to document. The first kind of picture that I want you guys to, think about and draw is called a use case diagram. Okay. It describes, guess what? Use cases, okay? Cases of specific use of whatever you are designing. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to jump ahead and go into the application itself. I just want to double check and make sure I'm actually recording. Yes, it is. I don't have it installed. That's okay. We can actually install it, from the website. So I'll show you guys how to do it. Okay, just open the new tab. Just look up Omelet, UMLET. It has its own website. It's a Java application, so you do need to have Java installed on the computer in order to make use of this. So I go to download now. Quick download. It knows that I have a Linux computer. No, that is not it. Okay. Oh, this advertisement. Great. Okay, where's the download link is.
On the side, go up. Button on the side.
Oh, there we go. So just download. Nope, that's not it. Alright. I think that's the link itself, so we can just go ahead and click. This one is a zip file, looks like it. Okay, so it's a fairly small file, it's a really tiny little application. So it's a zip file, and I just need to know where I put it. To open containing folder, it's in my downloads folder. Great. Okay, that's good. So go back to here, and I do have Omelet standalone 14.1.1.zip, this file here. So I'm just going to unzip it here. You guys can do it in Windows as well. It's just really just a zip file, and I don't have it installed. In fact. If you're doing this in Windows, you don't need to install anything. Windows can open zip files automatically. Okay, so unzip Omelet. So go to a folder. You know, it creates its own folder. To those of you who are using Windows, you can just double click on the exe file, the executable. But since I'm using Linux, I cannot. Well, I can, but I'm not going to use wine on this one. So I can just run the jar file by itself, which is kind of more of a command line thing. Okay, so just say java-jar omelet.jar, and it starts up the application. Okay, there we go. So this is Omelet. Okay, it's a very, very simple interface to use. This is new. It's already already a new tab here, and what you can do is you can go to common elements, but you can also scroll down this list. Okay, when you click on the down button or the scroll, the expansion of the drop-down box, you can see all of the different diagrams that you can draw with Omelet. Okay, these are fairly standardized, diagrams that you can do in UML. The one that I want to do right now is called a use case diagram. So it's all the way at the bottom here. It's UML use case. So once you select this, it will kind of give you a different library of symbols to work with. So we have use case as a bubble. We have actor like a matchstick figure, and we have just solid lines to connect those two. Okay. So this is how you do it. You click on one, you put it on the other side. It's not drag and drop, it's just click and drop. Okay? So when you click on this side, it picks up a tool, and I guess you do need a drag and drop here. They changed the user interface a little bit. So this is a use case. A use case, once again, is a way to use your application, a way to use your program. Okay? So what do you want to use as an example? Does anyone have a particular thing in mind that you want me to use as an example? Okay, then I'm going to use my app. Okay, my field target application as an app. Okay, so a use case for my app. Okay, first of all, I want to describe what it is. Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick introduction of field target shooting. Is anyone particularly not want to talk about shooting? Because I know some people are kind of sensitive about that. It's okay. We don't have to talk about it. I can use another example. Okay, this is target shooting, by the way. This is like shooting, steel targets, not anything that can die. Okay. I mean, if the pellet accidentally land on a fly on the target, yes, we can end up killing a fly, but that has to be like very, coincidental. Okay. So if nobody objects to that, I'm going to use it. If anytime anyone feels uncomfortable with this, just let me know and we'll pick something else. Okay. So field target matches. Okay. There's an association for this sort of thing, and there are regulations. So you guys can just read about this, but I'll just describe it. Okay. So in any particular match, there are a certain number of lanes. Okay. So you have match a single match has multiple lanes, okay? And each lane has 2 targets. For each target, you have 2 attempts. Okay? For each attempt, either you knock over the target, which scores a point, or you do not knock it over and you do not score a point. Okay? So an attempt can have a result, and the result is either we put a cross, an X to mark that you hit the target, or we use a circle to say that you missed the target. Is that okay? All right. But there are other things that we have to keep track of, okay? Like your starting lane, because typically a match has about 12 lanes, okay, or 48 attempts. But typically we also have a whole bunch of people participating. So you don't want everybody to start on lane 1 and they all have to wait until lane 1 is ready, right? They have to wait in line. So given that you have, let's say, we call these squads. Okay, 2 people form 1 squad, and then 1 squad work on each work on a lane. So if you have, let's say, 12 squads, then you can have 1 squad each starting on a different lane, so they can all shoot at the same time. Okay, so things can move along a little faster. Okay, so there are concepts like what is a starting lane, or a start lane. Okay, because that's different depending on which squad we are talking about. Okay, you also want to keep track of the name of the competitors. Okay, so you want to look at the squad and look at the members of the squad. Okay, so during the match, what you do is just you shoot, and then you just register. Okay, was it a hit or is it a miss? Okay. When it's time to move on to the next lane, you just either the app can automatically move you to the next lane, or there's a button to move you to the next lane. Because there occasionally you might enter something incorrectly and have to go back to fix it. Is that okay? Now in these matches, okay, you also have to estimate the distance between you and the target. Okay, that becomes actually a very important part of whether you hit the target or not. You also have to estimate, wind speed, especially crosswind, because that also affects a lot, whether you hit or miss. So a lot of times people want to keep a log and say, I estimate, okay, the distance to the target is, 25 yards, okay? Because you cannot really use a meter to do it. That defeats the whole purpose, okay? The challenge is, can you do it without using an instrument, okay? So you kind of have to gauge it. And it makes sense to kind of put it into the app too, because this way you can go back later on and use an instrument to see, okay, I estimated it was 25 yards. Is it actually 25 yards? Okay. Oh, the actual distance is 22. Okay, so you can basically say, okay, now I have to correct how I estimate the distance. Okay. So those are the things that we do, in a field target match. Okay. All right. So getting back to the use case, we just want to document what the application is going to allow me to do. So what are you going to write down as a use case based on what I just described? Go ahead. Does anyone want to give it a try? A use case, by the way, has to be a verb, has to be an action. This is the name of the match.
Location.
Okay. But that is not core to what the app does, right? So we want to start with the core stuff that we actually want to do. In other words, why would anyone want to download an app to do this instead of doing it on paper, right? So what would be core to this app? What is essential? It must be able to do this.
Store the information over time.
Okay, store information, but we want to be a little bit more specific. Keep the score. Okay, very good. Score and attempt. Okay, my squad partner just shot, and the target either fall over or not, and I need to click and record that. Okay, so that's one thing. So instead of just using this is a use case 1, I'm going to I'm going to change the name of the use case to score and attempt. Okay. An attempt is really just one shot. Okay, that is an attempt. Okay, Is that okay? Who's going to do it? We have to describe it. Every use case has to be associated with what we call an actor. An actor doesn't have to be a user, but in most cases it is a user. Okay, who is making use of this use case? Who is scoring an attempt? Okay, now we don't want to name these people like John or Mary or actual individual names. We want to classify the entire category of users. So how would you describe the entire category of user who is going to enter the score of a particular attempt?
Squad member.
Squad member? Okay, very good. So we can use that. So now we drag an actor into here, change the name of the actor to reflect what we just said. So we say this is a squad member, okay? And then we just draw a line between these two. So we just drag a line over here. Oh, that won't work. I guess, let's see, how do I do this? Copy, paste. Oh, we pasted it here. All right. They changed the user interface a little bit. They used to have connectors here, but they don't do that anymore. That is not what I want to do. Oh. Online sample program, video.
Double click it.
Hmm?
Double click it.
Double click it. There we go. Thank you. Did you try it or did you actually read it?
No, I tried it.
Oh, you tried it. Okay, thank you. Okay, so with one connector, you can hook it up to one end of something, and with the other one, you can hook it up to something else. But you have to find the anchor point, because once you find the anchor point, you can see that you can move things around, and it will stay connected. So this is how you can associate a particular category of user to a particular use case. And obviously, you can resize the use case so it looks a little bit better, like that. Okay? So scoring an attempt is something that you want to do with the application. It is a use case of the application. What else do we want to do with this particular application? It has to be something that's core to why people want to download the software. In other words, changing to the next lane is something that needs to be done in order to score the attempt correctly, but it's not something, people won't download the app just for that, okay? Just to be able to change the lane. So I'm not going to document lane changing as one of these things. After an entire match, what do you want to do? Okay, now we have the ability to score all the attempts. But at the end of a match, what are you going to do about it? Okay, but what is the reason why you're totaling the attempts or totaling the score?
Just find out what place.
Post a score. Go ahead.
Find out what place you came in.
Okay, but you are not going to do that because there's a match director. Okay, so you want to submit the scores to the match director. That is what you want to do. Okay, so now we want to use another use case. Double click to copy over here, and then change the name to submit score. Okay, and it's going to be another use case that your squad member can do. Okay, so you basically draw another line between these two. So just say this is a use case that is also associated with a squad member. Okay. Anything else? So you turn in your score, and the match director, would basically look at all the other ones. What else do we want to do in a match like this? Are you curious about how other people did in the match? Okay. At the end of each match, that's what people do. The match director will basically post all the scores on a piece of paper, so people can go to the board and just see how they did in the match. I'm usually dead bottom, so I say don't mention my name because it's the score is too low. I don't want it mentioned. Okay, but that's something that you might want to do, right? To get the results for the entire match. Okay, so now we can say another use case for this app is to get match scores. Okay, for all the competitors, not just yours. So you can make another use case, and remember, every single time you have a use case, you have to link the use case to a particular actor, which is an entire category of people. There we go. Oh, but there's one thing here that is interesting, because getting the match score does not involve just the squad member. Who else is involved in this process?
Other squad members.
Other squad members, but there's one person who kind of centralizes everything, the match direction. Okay, so now we have a different category of user that is needed for this use case. So we have another actor here, and this one is called the match director. And this particular use case will now have two actors associated with it, because we have the person who participated in the match, and then you also have the match director who is responsible. Okay, I'm having a problem linking these two because the anchor point is not actually. Yep, there we go. So you have to link it to the edge of the box. That way it is now connected. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at the use cases again. Scoring and attempt. Is that a good reason for people to download and install the app? Yeah, that's pretty core to why people want to do it, right? Submitting the score at the end, okay, is something that you do have to do. Is a use case at the end of a match. Getting the match scores, of the entire team, okay, it's also something of value, because you're not only keeping track of your own score. Now you can also see how other people did in the match. Okay. Did I describe anything about how to do it? Did I describe anything about the screen layout and stuff like that? Did I even talk about going from one attempt to another attempt? And after two attempts, switch the target. After two targets, switch the lane. And after the lane switches, we want to see if we got back to the first starting lane when it's all done. I did not. Okay? Because those are not use cases. Those are not the reason why people download and install your app. Those are the things that you have to do to get score and attempt done. Okay? So that's why you might think of a lot of things that people have to do with your app, but not everything that people do is actually considered a use case. Is that okay? Separating the objective of your app, why people use your app, from how it is done. Is that okay? Any questions? So this is the first thing that you need to do with your projects. Okay, I will give you the assignment. Okay, I will describe what you have to do. What needs to be included. With this homework assignment. Not quite yet, but I'm giving you an example of how you can do it. Okay? Any questions? Yep.
Okay, so the question is that, well, when you're making a use case,
Right.
and technically you actually have to have the user register, let's say their name and their address. Okay? Would you have to put that as part of the use case or not?
Okay, that's an interesting question. You can probably collectively group all of those things, into configuration or setup or register, so you can have a user to register with the app, and that includes everything that you just talked about. It's kind of borderline, because You don't download an app just so that you can register. Do you see what I mean? It's a supporting feature to do what eventually needs to be done. So from that perspective, I would not put it into the use case diagram. Even though it's one of the things that people have to do, it is not a core reason why they're installing your application. It's kind of like, okay, let's say word processing is the program that we are talking about, okay? Now, if you think about Word or even Google Documents, there are gazillions of features, right? Lots and lots of features. But how many use cases do we actually have? Edit document is one, okay? Because that's the primary reason why people install a word processor or why people go to Google Documents is to edit a document, yep, right? But when you're editing a document, you have lots of features that you can do. You can boldface, italicize, you can change the font size, you can change the style, and so on and so forth. But those by themselves are not use cases because they do not stand alone. People know, but no one is going to install Microsoft Word just so that they can boldface something. Doesn't make any sense, right? So they're collectively in the use case of edit a document. Okay, give me another use case of a word processor.
Create a document?
Okay, I would group create and edit into the same one. It's really just working with a document. But that implies that you are the only person working with that document. What is another thing that you can really easily do with Google Documents? Share. Okay, now that's another thing about cloud, right? Because once it is in the cloud and not on your device, now other people can participate interactively in real time. Okay, so sharing a document, okay, or working on a document, collaborating, okay, that's the key word, okay? So collaborate is another use case because it is not really the same thing as editing because when you're collaborating, you may not be editing at all. You may just be viewing and commenting or chatting on the side. But that is a use case because that's one reason why people may want to use Google Documents is to collaborate on a particular document. Is that okay? But how do we do it? Well, are we chatting? Are we leaving comments? Or are we highlighting stuff and whatnot? Hey, those are features, okay? That's what features are offered to support that use case. So you don't list those things, in a use case diagram. Stay high level, okay? Stay high level and core to the reason why people want to download your application. Is that okay? I mean, does everybody kind of understand, what to put in a use case diagram? Because you want to keep it simple. What if my explanation of a use case diagram is too confusing, there's not enough information? What do you do? Well, first of all, do you think I am the only person using use case diagrams? Is this something that I just invented in the past 10 minutes? No. So what do you do if you need to find out more about use case diagrams?
Research it.
Sorry?
Research it.
Research it, and how do we research it? We go to the library and ask the librarian, or Google. Okay, very good. Okay, so this is the norm of things these days, right? Because if you want to learn more about something, you can ask the instructor. I'm more than happy to tell you what I know, okay, which is limited. But one thing you have to do is to find out, all the other resources that you have. So if you want to have UML use case examples, okay, search for it. Now, the only question here is, which one is a good example? Because there are good examples and there are bad examples. So what you can do is, these are much more complicated than what we are dealing with. Okay, so in the case of an airport, check-in system, you have the tour guide being the actor, being the classification of users who can participate in group check-in as a use case. Does it say how it is done? Does it describe the screen where the tour guide can list members of a group, check boxes, drop down boxes, and stuff like that? No. It just tells what it is supposed to do, but not how it is done. Okay, so make sure you leave the how out of a use case diagram. Just tell me what people are doing, but not how it is done. No need for screenshots, no need to list out all the features, just what is being done. Is that okay? All right. So now we have passengers. Okay, now we don't want to deal with these things. Okay, interrelationship between the actors, we don't have to do it. But in this case, a passenger is also linked to two use cases. A passenger is linked to individual check-in, which is one thing that a passenger can do. Do you think individual check-in is important to a passenger? Yes, that may be a pretty good reason why someone, why this particular system in the first place. Okay? Security screening, okay, is another use case. So in this case, it is on its own because it is important enough to be listed on its own. It is not a part of individual check-in. It is individually listed. Now we don't have to deal with these dotted lines with arrows. Okay, so I don't want your use case diagram to get too complicated. But for people who are interested, the use cases can be related to each other using those other types of links. Okay. One is an include. Okay, so in this case, group check-in includes individual check-in. So the two use cases are related. Okay, but we don't have to do that. Okay, don't worry about this part. There's extension as well. Baggage check-in extends individual check-in, which means some people check in, they don't have any baggage. Okay, it's okay. But other people check in and they do have baggage. And then you have to use the extension and say that, oh, not only are we doing individual check-in, but there's also a baggage check-in. But which actor do you think is doing baggage check-in? Because remember, eventually every use case has to be linked to a particular actor. So which actor in this diagram eventually links to baggage check-in? Passenger, exactly, because you just have to follow the arrow. Okay? Baggage check-in extends individual check-in. But who is eventually linked to the individual check-in? Passenger. Okay? So this diagram is a lot more complicated than what we need to deal with, but it gives you an idea of what a use case diagram is useful for. Okay? It's a roadmap. Okay? It documents the high level requirements and the high level rationale of your application. Okay, it doesn't deal with the details. It just deals with the high level concepts. We are running out of time, in the lecture. So in the lab time today, the first thing is I'm gonna help program the flash drives if you do have one, and then the second thing I'm gonna do is to illustrate the various parts of App Inventor. Okay. How many people are taking cisp362 this semester? Okay, so this part is going to be useful because I'm going to show you guys how to put logic into the code in App Inventor, so it kind of jives with what you are going to learn in the other class. Okay, so I'll give you guys maybe a 10-minute break, okay, and then we'll come back here, and then in the lab time I will continue to record, but it will be more hands-on for those of you who have an application or you have a mobile device and you want to try out things on your own. That's fine too. But I will be doing actually some programming with App Inventor during the lab time. So let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break, and then when we come back, we'll continue. And also, I'm going to take roll when you come back.
I never took cis300 or any of those
Okay.
in Hale, but I took it in another school, and I have, and I submitted my petition that got accepted. So
Okay.